Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets every Tuesday night. Last week, the players came together to try and figure out what they would say to Carasoth, the red dragon child of Tiamat, after the opening segment where Cyrus was again pulled away by the Chaos Curse, which seems each time to find a new and horrifying way of removing or adding him back to the world. The party got Raiken to order Kubriel to sit in an area and not interact with anybody. Not quite what they wanted him to say to her, but it got the job done, air quotes. Then they went in and largely Laramendas and Vendar discussed what they would say to this dragon. At which point, Nalia came back to explain what she had managed with Claire, saying that, she can use her pull within the Mages Guild to make contact with leaders around the world so that the countries can come together and decide how they want to deal with this dragon situation, using the party as their hands. After that discussion, Nalia pointed out that the tiger is long been a difficult subject that she has heard about via her contacts within the party, and so she has been working on a magical device to help out with that, which she presented to Raiken, which is a small ruby marble, which has been magically enchanted to contain the corporeal form of Kubriel until such a time as it is needed, so that she need not be banished and then resummoned at the cost of 10 minutes and a second level spell. We concluded with the party determining that they were going to lean on the Mages Guild to talk to the places they couldn't, but go see the people they knew personally, starting with, I think, Daikon Gabriel of Shirkawa, and so they were promptly kicked out of the Mages Guild. And so, that is where we begin. Gabriel is in the marble. The party has just left the Mages Guild in Bromdor, and they are to determine what they want to say to Carasoth and where they want to go next. So, let's do this.
Are we still connected telepathically?
I will say yes for the next half hour.
Okay. In that case, everyone can see my sending in the channel that I have posited, but for the benefit of the recording, I will read it out loud so we can more properly discuss it. The sending that I have come up with as a starting point is as follows. Seeking mutually beneficial negotiations, we aware armies marching you and siblings, brood hesitant to assist. We will seal siblings, have your scale too. Intent discussion, mutual survival, possible domain, prevention of future harassment. Interested speak, or I guess speaking. It's probably better there. Somebody in chat proposed changing speak to respond, so interested respond as a ending statement. Do people have more opinions?
I think it sounds good.
This is a message that is going to a near godlike red dragon, and your hope is that they will work with you. So I will encourage every member of this party to weigh in on this. This one's important.
We fuck everything up anyways, but
I will say, Lynn suggested the possibility that Carasoth has a member of his brood guarding the red scale. If it is, and we kill him, that might change. Like, if he does already have his red scale, then maybe we don't try to get it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that it is likely that if the scale is not near where he was raised, then someone that he has directed is in possession of it. So I suppose if we want to be approaching this from a position of a more threatening position, then we should attempt to be in possession of the scale. It might be enough for us to confirm that it is a red dragon in possession of it, and instead send that we know where it is, with the implication being that we could easily acquire it, should negotiations fall through. But in that case, we would not be starting those negotiations by killing one of his brood that is actually assisting him.
Yeah, that might be better. So we might adjust that if we see it's a red dragon guarding it.
Which still probably puts our next location being confirming the red scale at the very least. Which seems reasonable. We could fairly easily have your scale to no location your scale or something along those lines. I will say the sending that I have there location is 35 words, and we only have 35 words. So if we want to add anything, we must remove things. Does anyone feel strongly that we should, even if it is a red dragon guarding the scale, still acquire it to attempt to be in more of a position of power in this negotiation? Or do we think that is too risky?
I believe that if we find that a red dragon is in possession of the scale, that it is perfectly fine to make a sending saying that we know the location of the scale and see how he responds, and that will determine if we must take the red scale by force or not need to.
All right. In that case, we can probably confirm enough information about the scale via a commune.
Sure.
Can ask a question, something along the lines of, is the scale of Carasoth in the possession of somebody who was directed to hide it or to hold it? Something along those lines. The exact wording can be dealt with when we get to that point, but it might save us the teleportation. Since it isn't necessarily only the case that it could be in the hands of a red dragon, it could just be in the hands of someone that is who was directed to get it as far away from him as possible.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's a good idea. We could probably pay for one too, so we don't have to use a spell slot on it.
Commune is a ritual.
Wow, so it doesn't use a spell slot anyway.
It becomes less likely to provide answers if you cast it multiple times. But
I forgot how the spell works.
It's been a while out of game since we've cast it.
Yeah, I think we should start with that.
Okay. So if that's the case, we have 2 more questions.
Wait, what?
We could ask
precisely was
about
first
the
question?
we could ask about the missing people in town.
What had you
Everybody
said,
said
Trouble?
that
No, I asked what precisely was the first question.
The first question we can use to figure out if the red scale is being held, guarded, hidden by someone at the direction of Carasoth, instead of going there and confirming that it's a red dragon or something. To know if we need to go and acquire it, or if we should just tell him that we know where it is. As for your point, Vendar, what kind of question could we ask to have some useful insight into that?
well, everybody said that the people left of their own will. We could ask if that's true.
That's fair. Do we have a question that we potentially want to ask as a follow-up to that? Or is there
We could ask
something
if
else?
they're alive.
Others have thoughts, important, unimportant. Have you determined just the one question so far?
The second question. So the Vendar suggested asking about the people in Volinar who are missing, with potential ones being, are they still alive? And did they actually leave town of their own volition? Are we most interested in, are they alive, or are we most interested in their mental state while leaving town? Which assumes that they have left town.
That sounds like a good place to start from.
So it was.
So, are they still in town?
No,
And if
the missing, actually, yeah. Did they leave town?
True. If they were taken or hidden somewhere in town, that wouldn't work.
so, if they are in town, if they are not in town, did they leave town of their own volition? If they are in town, are they still alive?
Yeah, sounds good.
How should we describe this selection of people for the commune?
Who learned about them? Who told us about them?
Lynn.
And Lynn mentioned to describe them as like the people who, however she described them, that Lynn told us about. Because that way you are describing the people that she was talking about.
Okay, so did the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about
Actually leave town.
actually leave Volinar? Okay, so the commune draft. Question 1. Is the scale of Carasoth in the possession of, being guarded by, being hidden by, or is already hidden by an associate of Carasoth at his direction? 2. Because I'm trying to cover enough of the bases with its current state of existence with that one. Do people think that we should be more specific in different ways to not risk that one being too vague? Was it taken away at his direction to be guarded or hidden? Perhaps.
Okay.
Come on, guys, don't make
Much-
Sam do
much
all the work
simpler
here.
way. The second one seems like a much simpler way to arrive at the same conclusion.
Okay. So, okay. Was the scale of Carasoth taken away by an associate of Carasoth at his direction? Does that... If the answer to that question is yes, are we confident enough in the question to believe that we can just say we know where the scale is and that's sufficient? Or do we want more...
Well, we also aren't exactly limited to one. There are temples in Volinar. We have plenty of money. We could always pay for more communes from other people, even.
It is true.
Are we certain he doesn't have the scale himself?
He can't touch the scale.
He
Yeah, but
can't touch the scale. We are relatively confident that he is an Ebengard, and we are positive that the scale is not, unless they have managed to spoof this the magical item that Yukaze has, which I suppose is not impossible, but probably unlikely.
Given that like no one knows it exists.
Okay, good point.
We could likely do it with a sequester and a wish, but that would only be worth taking the risk of around the wish if one thought that there were a decent number of ways that somebody might find the thing. And I'm not even sure that a sequester would even prevent this item from pointing at one of the scales. That would be interesting to test, actually. Sequester have material components? Probably
Yeah.
does.
They got no idea what the scales are. What kind of magic the scales got on them, so.
5,000 gold worth of dust from precious gems. If we have a moment where I can freely cast Wish, I would be interested in testing if a sequester is enough to prevent the Yukikaze's item from detecting the presence of one of the scales, especially if the scale is disrupting magic in the same way that a incomplete scale does. It would be interesting. That is neither here nor there, though. I feel like we can be relatively confident that the at least right now that the item is pointing us to the scale correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I just want to confirm if the answer to question 1, as I have it in the chat, was the scale of Carasoth taken away by an associate of Carasoth at his direction. If the answer to that is yes, are we... Or I guess, actually, if the answer to that is no, are we confident enough that we don't want to use another commune? Because I suppose technically it could have been taken away by somebody else, found by his associate, and then taken wherever it is, if his associate is currently in possession of it, or hiding it, or guarding it.
I think we should see what the answer is, and then if we decide we want to do another commune, we can
Okay,
get that done.
fair. Then question 2. Did the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about, God, that's a mouthful, actually leave Volinar? Are people happy with this question?
Yes, I think that one is appropriately specific and
Okay. If the answer to that is yes, so they did leave Volinar, the next question is, did the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about truly leave of their own volition? Is that sufficient?
I believe so.
It's funny to say.
It is.
It's a lot of Vola. And if the answer to question 2 that is no, which means they are still in Volinar, are the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about alive? Are people content with this question?
Yeah, that works for me.
Yep.
Back to question 1. How are you defining associate?
I mean, I'm not entirely sure how the gods would define associate.
Hmm.
I would think it's somebody that's working with him, but I feel like my belief is that the vagaries of that would be taken care of by adding at Carasoth's direction. Do you have a different phrasing that you would feel more comfortable with?
So at Carasoth's direction works. It's just associate of Carasoth is. It's just a phrase that I don't know how different people would interpret.
So just taken away at Carasoth's direction?
Yeah, because I think
that's reasonable.
Yeah, so taking away by an associate.
Yeah.
Well,
So
something that's like that. Was the scale of Carasoth taken away yet? Yes.
So now, was the scale of Carasoth taken away at Carasoth's direction? Are people comfortable with that one? I think there's still the possibility that we might need to refine it more, depending on if the answer comes back unclear, or if we want to be more specific about things. If we get a no.
I think it's a good first one.
yeah, and I think it's a good grounding question to work towards getting more information.
Okay.
And then you would lead into...
So I guess that's a reasonable question. Do we want to come up with other follow-up questions to 1 in different situations, or are we, if we have follow-up questions about 1, will we want to just try again ourselves, and then if that should fail, go and see if we can purchase a commune?
I'd say we do the
follow
questions
up.
we have.
Well, potential follow-up to the first one is to find out if it's being guarded at his direction. Oh, or taken away by at Carasoth, or could it be at the direction of his family? Would they care?
I think that if someone who was not Carasoth took it away, then it might be in our interest to get it back. Even if it's somebody within his brood. Because I could see that being something that somebody wants to hold over him, which is exactly the reason we wanted to acquire it in the first place. So...
We want the person holding it over him to be us.
Exactly. If someone's going to do it.
Yeah.
So if it was not taken away at his direction, it is worth double checking, I think, if it's currently being handled by someone at his direction, which would mean that somebody else took it, he sent someone to get it back.
If he just hit it, then we would probably want to grab it anyway. But if it's being guarded by one of his brood that's loyal to him, then we probably lived it.
And that's
I think if it was hidden at his direction, we still don't need to grab it.
Good point.
If it was hidden at his direction and we just tell him we know where it is, we're saying that we can get it if we need to, but we are not going to start from a violent position.
Yeah.
So do we want to use a second commune, either a second attempt from ourselves or purchasing a first attempt from somebody else? With the follow-up questions that will arise from 1 so that we can get the answers to 2 and 3?
Yeah.
All right.
Aye.
Where would be a good place to pull out my bowl and begin the commune?
You want to pull it to what?
Bowl.
A bowl.
His commune bowl.
That was to the voice in the sky. Laura Mendes does not say that.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, if you do it here, you are being watched by anybody walking the street, including guards. But the guards are primarily drow, who know you to be people of special import. You could go meekly back into the Mages Guild after having been kicked out, and do it in there.
No, that one's not an option.
You could pick one of the 4 main temples in the quad and do it within their walls. Probably any temple that isn't Ione's is going to be telling you that that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Since you would be contacting an agent of Ione, and that is not her. That is a place of power for another god. So if it doesn't simply not work, it may be unappreciated. And as a person who has initiated into this magic, you are aware of that.
Go into Cord's temple to cast a commune with one of Ione's agents, and you just ask the first question, and the response is just the sound of a fist punching something. I'm just like, the fuck? So shall we do it here, or shall we go and go into the Temple of Ione? That way, if we need to have them commune, we can pay for their work.
sounds
Let's
like
just
an
go
idea
to the
to me.
temple. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like it's gonna be the easiest solution.
I think it was over here somewhere.
Yeah, sorry. I'll, move people. Over here are the 4 temples. Ione is, the northeastern one. I still haven't built up this city. My life is too busy, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I got Derek to throw in the roads for me, so at least I could move the characters around the map and be like, it is in this area. This is where that building is.
I mean, that's all we need.
Yeah.
Love? Love is all we need?
Yeah.
No, roads.
Yeah.
I don't think
Proper
that's what the song
infrastructure.
meant.
But okay, we go into the Temple of Ione. I find the first cleric that I see, which is probably the woman that I saw before. Unless
Yes.
Marn is closer to the door.
Now Marn's at the circular desk, working on ledgers and making sure that they're up to date. You can see him as there's just a straight alleyway from the doorway to the central desk area. But closer at hand is the young woman Frelissa, who is reshelving a couple books, and as she, dusts off her hands after reaching a particularly high shelf, she looks over and sees the lot of you standing in the doorway, and she says, "Oh my, you've brought more friends, Scholar! Welcome back! What can we help you with?"
We were hoping we were hoping for a place that we could cast Commune. I'm capable of doing so myself, although we might need a follow-up, which we would gladly pay the temple for.
Well, of course. I haven't used mine yet, though I've usually done 2 or even 3 by the end of any given day, so it's a good thing you're in here. She kind of, peers outside and tilts her head to one side before saying, "Early." Yes. Yes, I will take you to the... She claps her hands together, crosses her fingers, and crisscrosses her fingers and points at you. Says, "The recording room. I imagine you would like privacy."
Thank you.
Follow me, and she leads you to straight past the desk where Marn is recording ledgers, and he immediately sees the light dancing over his table as you and Ash pass by, and he looks up and just grunts and nodding towards you as you pass by.
Smile and nod.
Just a little bit of confusion in his eyes. You can feel the thoughts behind those eyes being something like, "Weren't you just here?"
I don't see this fucker in 20 years, and now I see him twice in one day.
Twice 1 hour.
She takes you to this room. She opens a door. It doesn't seem to seal in quite the dramatic way that it did in Tuca. This seems to be rather normal. It is also unlike the hidden bit of wall behind which they are keeping your memory box for Ash. The room is small, and with the 6 of you, it's a little crowded, but she's not entering, and just says, "There's only the 2 chairs, I'm afraid, but it's only 10 minutes, right?"
This will be perfect.
Excellent.
I smile.
I'll be up front if you need anything else. I hope Ione has the answers you seek, and she's going to pull the door closed.
I pull out the bowl and begin the ritual. Lorman is at a commission for 10 minutes, or 11 minutes. 10 minutes and a round, and then a minute of asking the questions. So,
you cast the spell, murmuring over the bowl of water that you have laid on the table. And as you complete the ritual, you see the ripples in the bowl cascade out and then back toward the center, and then come to a stationary vibration, so that there is a 2 concentric rings of ripple that are completely unmoving on the water's surface.
So, first question: was the scale of Carasoth taken away at Carasoth's direction?
The rings vibrate and multiply, and then go back to being 2 again, and Ash bobs next to you and says out loud, "No." Though by this point you know yes and no in Celestial.
Mm-hmm. Did the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about actually leave Volinar?
There is a moment's pause, and then they vibrate, and you recognize the Celestial word for yes.
Okay. Did the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about truly leave of their own volition?
No hesitation this time. Immediately you hear no.
Okay. We have learned things.
Yes, and we definitely need to cast another commune.
So, what do we want to ask in this second?
Oh. What do we know about these people? Are they the
Was
What-
it 2 or 3 drow?
2.
I believe it was only 2, yeah, and then the third was
There was the one.
Chad Buxton, or whatever his name was.
Yeah,
the-
bad asshole, and then 2
yeah.
drow. Okay.
who's the asshole?
The guy that was heckling you when you spent the 10 days here trying to encourage the city to integrate with the drow as opposed to casting them out, and he wanted them casted out and had a lot of people on his side.
Yeah, he
Oh,
like
yeah,
started
he's
out
like-
right.
Is he like a baker or something?
He was the smith's apprentice.
That's branches. So it's him and 2 drow.
Yeah.
But I remember this name last session without having looked it up first, but now I cannot remember it.
I only remember that I had thrown out a name that sounded like a meathead kind of person, and you said that it reminded you of an RT person. Like it was the same name that one of them had. I probably would have gone with Chad.
Was it Trevor?
I don't think I would have called him
Giga
that.
Chad.
He's a Giga Chad. I don't know. We can go with Trevor. It's fine. I don't have a note on him, unfortunately, I think.
I mean, it was mentioned last session, so
Yeah.
the next ball.
But I mean, I'm still not even certain that, like, the name that we used last session was correct.
Oh, right.
That's all. Trey. You can call him Trey. That's an obnoxious name.
Such a tray.
Very Trey.
The third generation Smith.
Shut up.
That's no it's a nickname for somebody the third.
I never remember that. But you would think I would.
I've never actually met anybody who was the 3rd.
I think I have.
He was a third-rate smith with a fourth-rate hammer.
Oh my gosh. I am adding him
Okay,
to
so-
my list.
What do we want to ask? Do we want to ask if the
Oh my god.
Oh no. Definitely not.
just actually say out the letters and the bull's just like, fuck you.
How would you actually pronounce that? Tipweplevatov Tiltois?
Sure.
It almost
Um,
Russian.
I feel like the first questions that we go with should be about the scale of Carasoth.
Oh yeah, I'm just working on trying to figure out how to word.
It should be if it's guarded, being guarded, or was hidden by, or was hidden at Carasoth's direction, right?
Okay, so is the scale of Carasoth in the possession of I guess no, this is in the possession of someone being guarded by someone or being hidden at the direction of Carasoth?
Follow up is, does he know where it is?
What do you mean? Oh, we could ask if he just knows where it is, but he might not know what he might not want to know where it is.
Do Do the dragons have an inherent sense of where it is?
This is something Yukikaze might know.
Not that it was brought up.
I feel like that's something we could only know if they were to offer the information to us.
Is there anything about that in Kazunari's notes?
Let me do a little roll here just to see, because she was pulling some deep knowledge. So yes, it might be on the page of notes. Let me do a quick roll to see. But I still feel like that's something that even the people who produce that page might not have included.
I mean, I would also think if the answer was no, they just wouldn't say anything. So, like, it not being on the page is not conclusive evidence either
Yeah.
way. Like, even if we knew that they knew the answer to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that the only, like, related piece of information that's on that page is, like, her own conjectures about why Shisharan flew off, leaving the Black Scale behind. You know, that they were on their way to the Blue Scale when she was decoding this thing. She would be saying it seems the same thing has been done here by Elsamenth. Like, they know that they can't touch them, but they don't seem to have had any contingency for what to do with them without needing to touch them either. And that she postulates on a little bit, but beyond that, there's nothing conclusive.
Okay, so is Carasoth aware of the location of the scale of Carasoth? As a first question, just to establish that.
Wait. They can't touch their own scales, or they can't touch the scales?
They can't touch their own, I think, is all that we know.
That is all the
okay.
page has indicated, is that they can't touch their own.
But you know, none of the siblings went and tried to grab any of the other siblings' scales, so it doesn't seem like they're interested in trying to hold each other's scales. Doesn't mean they can't, though.
Kazunari's postulation does include that at least with the two she's aware of, Shisharan and Elsamenth, they were in places that were incredibly hard to reach already, so they might have felt safe leaving them there. Stating that she believed Shisharan had no expectation that somebody would travel out into the desert immediately after she rose with the intention of finding it, and believing that the sands would cover it up again before long.
Yeah. It is easily lost.
But, again, it's all postulation by her. They are good notes, and she's got a lot of good thoughts, but it's all conjecture.
Yeah. So, I guess, is it useful information to us if Carasoth is or is not aware of the location of his scale?
I don't think it matters. If it was at his direction, then we know he probably knows where it is, or it doesn't matter if he knows where it is. And yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
So is question one there sufficiently specific in ways that are going to be useful?
I guess we could add or being hidden or has been hidden. It's already been hidden.
Just wondering if the state of being hidden includes the state of the thing being hidden at his direction. If that includes the state of it already having been hidden and is no longer actively being hidden, but I am not certain. I guess Voice in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
What would Laramentis think about that? If I asked, let's say it was just, is the scale of Carasoth being hidden at the direction of Carasoth?
Mm-hmm.
Does Laramentis believe that that includes the situations of someone is actively looking for a way to hide it, or someone has already hidden it? Is that are both of those situations covered by the one statement, or should they be separate?
I think that both of those are covered. You're because the true intent of your statement is someone working at the behest, or has, like, this isn't about the tense. This is, what's the relationship? The question's purpose is to determine the relationship. Is there a relationship?
Okay. I suppose if the answer to that is no, then we should go get the scale.
Okay. So I have also just made it more wordy. Is the scale of Carasoth in the possession of someone at the direction of Carasoth, being guarded by someone at the direction of Carasoth, or being hidden at the direction of Carasoth? Is this question fine by people?
Yeah.
Okay. If this question is yes, we tell him we know the location and we do not go and fetch it. If this question is no, then we go and attempt to acquire the scale. Yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. We have 2 more questions. And we were interested in things about
Yeah.
We can use that for the other 2 questions.
I think we should ask if they're alive first.
Oh, the 2 people.
Yeah, the people.
Yes, he tried to pronounce the shortened version that Jebel provided.
Yeah, the 13-letter acronym.
So helpful.
That's 15 letters.
Okay. Are the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about alive? Is everyone good with that being question number 2?
Yes.
Okay. If they are dead, what do we do? Do we have anything about them that we care about if they are dead?
Figure out who did it. But what if some of them are dead and some aren't? Like, what if the smith killed the drow and then ran away?
All right. Are any of the people who are any of them dead? To be more specific for us.
So for the second question,
let's say for the
If
second
any
question,
of them are dead, then I think we should ask if the smith is alive.
so if any of them are alive, we ask if Trey is alive.
Are we asking if any of them are alive or if any of them are dead?
Are any of them alive? So we ask if. No, yeah, you're right. We wanted if any of them are dead.
yeah. If any of them are dead, and then
Okay, if any of them are dead,
it'll be
then we ask if Trey is alive.
yes.
Yes.
If none of them are dead,
Then we should try to come up with a question to try to figure out where they might be.
I mean, the easiest ways to go about that are to start picking a distance and asking, are they within that distance of a location? And then using
We could
questions
ask
to
if they're
pinpoint
within,
that.
if they're within some distance from the city.
Is there a particular distance that you are interested in?
Uh, maybe 5 miles. Suppose we could do another commune if we want to narrow it or expand it.
When did they leave? Quote unquote?
What had Lynn said for
It's been since we left town, the 3 of them have disappeared.
It's a couple weeks, 3 at the most.
Okay.
Three
then
weeks.
I feel like we should probably put a larger distance on it.
And yes, 3
Yeah,
weeks
makes
at
sense.
the most.
What do you think would be a good distance?
If they are beyond 20 miles, then they are probably trying to get away from Volinar. If they are within 20 miles after this amount of time, then there's probably something nearby that they're trying to do. What do you think?
Okay. 20 miles it is.
Okay. So, our questions, as I have them written in the chat, are 1. Is the scale of Carasoth in the possession of someone at the direction of Carasoth, being guarded by someone at the direction of Carasoth, or being hidden at the direction of Carasoth? 2. And that one, if the answer is yes, then we tell him that we know where it is. And if the answer is no, we go and get it. 2. Are the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about, are any of the... I had it written correctly, I just said it wrong. Are any of the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about dead? If that is yes, then we say, is the apprentice smith Trey alive? Do we need... I feel like, intent-wise, we probably don't need to be more specific than that about him by saying, is the apprentice smith Trey, who is one of the people who purportedly left Volinar that Lynn told us about?
You're fine.
So we have, is he alive? If none of them are dead, are the people who reported left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about within 20 miles of Volinar? Are any of the people or are all of the people? Which one are we interested in?
Any.
Any. Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any notes about these questions?
Well,
Sounds fine to me.
I suppose maybe we should say all, because if it's any and like Trey is alive and he might be trying to escape, but the Drow's corpses are within 20 miles.
If any of them are dead, then we don't ask the question about
That's
distance.
a good point. Right. So never mind.
Any other comments about the questions, or are we good to attempt? Going once. Going
I
twice.
can't think of anything else.
All right. With a cumulative 25% chance, I think Laramendus would propose to have him attempt to cast the spell again. And if it works, good for us. If it doesn't, then we can go and pay. Her name is escaping me.
Frelissa.
For Alyssa.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Lormandus begins casting Commune to Electric Boogaloo. Technically, you're supposed to roll, not me, for whether it works.
Okay. Do remind me if that's a D100.
Yeah, D100. It is a cumulative 25% chance of failure, so I would say that going it 1 to 25, it has failed.
Yeah.
Going by the sticking with at the number or below is the thing that it says.
Gotcha. Alright. 15.
Okay.
I'm afraid it fails.
Looks like we're panned.
Now that one doesn't ever fail in fun ways, right? It just doesn't work.
If you cast the spell 2 or more times before finishing your next long rest, there is a cumulative 25% chance for each casting after the first that you get no answer.
Okay, yeah. Basically, you spend 10 minutes
Yeah.
doing your incantation over the water, only this time the water does not begin rippling.
Yeah. With the fact that the only thing that happens is no answer, it being a secret roll seems weird.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Like,
You know that you didn't get the answer.
yeah.
Why is it? Like, I'm happy to roll it, but I can't really keep that a secret. You either get an answer or you don't. I wonder what the DM rolled. We got an answer. I really just don't know what he rolled.
Who's to say?
What could it have been? The fun is just wasting 10 minutes.
So yeah, another 10 minutes goes by of you using this room, but unfortunately, this 10 minutes is fruitless.
Mm-hmm. So let us go and find Felissa and ask about paying her for a commune. I go to do that.
You head out the door. You know, you immediately back out into the much more open area where it's not stuffy. So having spent 20 minutes crowded into a room really built for 2 people.
I feel like
6...
we probably need to, like, some of us are probably close to, like, falling unconscious from the carbon dioxide in that room.
It's not sealed. Again, it's a regular door, but it is a small room. You head out and just immediately you're hit with that, open air draft, and you feel so much better. You realize how stuffy and like sweaty those that sweat were getting. Sorry, Raiken. Oh my god.
Clean, refreshing air.
This kind of echoes through the library as he stumbles out and gasps this. And, you are going to, see a few aisles away. Felissa's head's going to peek around the edge of the book stack there, and she's going to say, "Oh, yeah, did you do 2?
We attempted a second one, but,
Oh.
came up with nothing, so we were hoping that we could purchase your services.
Yes, unfortunately the agents of the gods can be a bit fickle. Certainly I've still got mine, so I've got a guaranteed functioning one. Our going rate is 15 gold.
Alright, Therma just pays that.
Alright. She takes the 15 gold, and, She kind of looks at the door that you all just stumbled out of. And you kind of see, like, she kind of frowns a little bit at it, and her eyes come back to you, and she says, "Is privacy really important here?"
I think that only one of us needs to be present.
Yeah.
The question's all set, so...
Yeah, I'm not going back in there.
Yeah, I can. I'll be more than happy to stay out also.
Very well. Scholar, then, are you the one?
I think that is reasonable.
All right. You do see that she, like, immediately, like, there's, like, a little, bit of a buzz to her, just a bit of a jitter. She seems a bit, nervous, and you can see, that her cheeks blush a little bit, and she, like, kind of almost stiffly marches over toward the door, and then, stands beside it and gestures you within. After you, Scholar?
Larmendus goes in.
The rest of you, as Larmendus walks in, the rest of you see her, like, you kind of watches her knees buckle a bit, and she slinks down, and you can see she's, like, clearly not ready to deal with this. She fans herself around and goes, okay, and then marches in behind him. And there's, like, a moment's pause before a hand, reaches back out and pulls the door shut.
Raiken's like, oh, Dolly has competition.
She's going to sit down at the table opposite you, between you and the door, and she's going to, from her robes, she's going to remove a small chalice and place it on the table, and then, reaching down again, she's going to pull out a filter of water, which she's going to unstopper and pour into it. She's going to, after doing that, she's going to look up, making eye contact with you, and say, do you have your questions prepared?
Yes, he'll turn his book where they're written down.
Oh, excellent! Oh, you have such neat handwriting, Scholar. That's to be expected, of course. Ignore me. Alright. She seems to, like, scan over them, just kind of, like, getting a first pass in her mind. And then she begins incanting in Celestial over the chalice. 10 minutes go by, and you may state your questions to me. She will ask them.
Yeah. Is the scale of Carasoth in the possession of someone at the direction of Carasoth, being guarded by someone at the direction of Carasoth, or being hidden at the direction of Carasoth?
She blinks at you, like, once before, like, awkwardly. Like, you can tell that she's having difficulty translating this into Celestial. And then, the chalice, like, hums a little bit, ringing, echoes throughout the room. And she kind of, frowns a little and says, no.
Alright. Are any of the people who purportedly left Volinar of their own volition that Lynn told us about dead?
She rattles this one off slightly more easily. The chalice vibrates again, humming, echoing through the room. And she again looks troubled and says, yes. She's
Is
now,
the
like...
Trey alive?
She looks like she was about to say something to you when you start rattling off the next question, so she quickly translates, and she says, no. And
Interesting.
The water in the chalice stills, and the power in the room dissipates. And she kind of sits there for a moment, just sort of, contemplating the chalice, running a finger around the base of it against the table, where she says, should I be concerned at the implications of these questions, Scholar?
I don't believe so, necessarily.
Is there something you need to share with the temple? As you know, Ione believes that we are all better at defending ourselves in any given situation if we have all of the information.
What is the temple aware of? I guess, how... Voice in the sky.
Yes.
How broadly aware... I feel like people are aware that all the dragons, other than Widimir, are probably, up. Given,
that is quickly becoming
Tatsuya's
global knowledge.
Okay.
Tatsuya's involvement is not known.
Well, I mean, given Tatsuya's, campaign to...
Yeah, given Tatsuya's campaign...
It's like...
It is
I imagine
widespread.
people know that it's things are occurring, not
Yes.
necessarily that he's involved, because that doesn't matter.
But you also know that they
Um,
have, especially because of the work of the Platinum Sentinels and the way that Tatsuya went about doing this, you know that they have very little reason to know anything about the scales.
That's fair. All right, and he was given the thing. It's his knowledge now. It's not Yukikaze's only.
It's true.
There is a method to seal the children of Tiamat once again using an item created by their scales, which is what the first question is about. We are looking for these.
Oh. It sounds very important that you find them.
I find it interesting that he is not directing it being not where we would have previously expected it to be. But that is good to know. The second two questions, we have heard that there are people who have gone missing from the city. A few people, two of the Drow guards and the apprentice smith that the third question was about.
Yeah, unfortunately, people go missing from Volinar all the time. It's a city. People die, robberies go bad, people run out of money and leave, they owe money to the wrong people and lose their lives.
Given our previous communes, we do know that these people did not leave the city of their own volition.
Murder. She says almost dismissively. Murder's a good way to leave the city, not of your own volition.
I suppose we do know that they left the city, so it is possible that the questions were interpreting dying as leaving the city, since the soul is no longer there.
I can tell you from experience asking questions like these that is how the agents of Ione treat it. Usually that's the answer. When somebody goes missing and they ask if they left, the answer comes back yes. They say, well, I'll go looking for them, and all they find is a corpse.
That is good to know.
I'm sorry, for what it's worth. Whomever it is that you've lost.
Thank you. Lerman he probably doesn't seem like distraught. He seems pensive.
Yeah. She's clearly, like, very much trying to be an empathetic person.
Yeah.
And is not certain how to handle the situation. You're not what she expected.
That's fair. Thank you again for the spell.
Of course. If you have more questions, I can always try again. It's only a 25% chance of failure.
I think at this point we have enough to determine where we are going next.
Okay.
And that way you'll be able to save the spell for someone else coming in. But
They get the discount.
Well, I hope it works for them.
Well then, Scholar, thank you for patronizing this Temple of Ione, and thank you for all the work that you do every day of your life in her name.
Laramida smiles and says, thank you for all the work that you do as well. It is all necessary.
I mean, I took the oaths, and went through the rituals. I read about non-cleric scholars, of course. There have been many throughout history. I didn't think I would meet one. It's really interesting to find someone devoted enough to Ion's cause to earn the honor of being a scholar while not being, feeling that devotion deeply enough to have joined the temple. It's fascinating to me. I one day hope to earn the honor myself, but as a temple scholar.
I would love to see that happen. And he's extremely sincere as he says that.
She's kind of she blushes a little, brushing hair back over her ear, and laughs a bit awkwardly and says, "Well, if it happens, it'll definitely be in your lifetime." And then she you see her eyes kind of go wide. She goes, "Why did I say that?"
It's true. She will be long dead by the time Laraminus dies, assuming he lives to a natural age, not eaten by a dragon or two.
She quickly rises. She picks up the chalice, does her best to get the water back in the phial and stoppers what goes in, just sort of sweeping anything that missed off onto the floor, and then pocketing both things and says, "Well, if there's any other services I can provide you or your friends today, just you know how to find me. I'm gonna go."
Thank you again. Laraminus will also leave.
Yes. You guys all see the door, a little more than 10 minutes after it closed, opens again, and she just sort of, brisk walks out, head down straight toward the central desk.
Interesting answers to the questions. The first one was no, so I believe we have our course of action. The second one was yes. And the third one, because of that, was a no. Felissa made clear to me that the questions around leaving the city and all of that could very easily be interpreted as they are all dead.
Wow.
That would line up with the answers that we received.
Oh, well, that's a little unfortunate.
Oh, what killed him then?
I don't know. Perhaps somebody who is not interested in the extremes of kicking everyone out or fully integrating. Perhaps they were involved in other things, though. Without more communes or a good amount of time spent investigating, I don't know that we can come to a conclusive answer.
Slyn, did they all disappear at the same time, or is it staggered over the course of the 3 weeks?
This one told you that it was spread out approximately evenly over the several weeks.
Right, so...
Approximately one per week.
That doesn't sound like they're... It sounds like something's doing it to them, and then they were probably just all happened to be the victims.
But as people like to keep pointing out, 4 people disappearing in a city this size is not a significant statistic. And this one does not think it is a significant statistic. It's not.
Were we told who the 4 people were?
The 3 people, yes.
3.
Sorry, I said 4. I meant 3. 3. Yeah, it was 2 drow who were working in the palace closely with Claire, and this dude who wanted to get rid of drow. She says it's not the number or the frequency, as you might lose 1 or 2 people per day in a city this size, as she has reckoned. No, what surprised her about these ones was that when she went to look into these particular ones, she'd become concerned with the drow disappearance. She's been trying to watch out for them, for you, since that seems important to keeping this place from devolving into chaos and pulling apart. This one believes in what you did. Anyway, she looked into the drow and she could not figure out where they went. She could not find a site of a murder. She could not find any tracks left behind by leaving the city. She could not find even, the scent of blood or a discarded murder weapon or a struggle at all. It was...
They were spirited away.
Yes, that is exactly what she thinks. This one thinks that they were disappeared somehow, too cleanly for natural process. That's why it came to her attention. That's why she brought it to your attention. At 1 person a week, this is not a world-ending thing. It was scary though, and it seemed to involve people that you cared about up until Trey. So she looked into it, and it seemed mysterious. If you cannot solve it, it will be quite some time before it is overwhelmingly important, probably. But
So, are we looking into this now?
there's many thousands of people living in this area, so it would take decades losing a person at that rate to deplete all the people in this area, and they would replenish faster than that. So from a strictly, what's the word you use? From a strictly logistical standpoint, this is nothing. But she is worried about the mechanism. This one does not wish to disappear suddenly someday. That is why she continues not to remain within the city. Actually, she says, kind of like scratching at the fur over her shoulder a little. She thinks perhaps now is a good time to head back outside the walls.
I suppose we can continue to look into this later.
Well, I don't think we should completely ignore it, because if we just count it as a calculated loss, we'd just be like Tatsuya.
We can always do more communes. There are more people in the city who can cast it.
Sorry, just 1 second.
These are also questions that we can use Contact Other Plane for, which will give us more questions. Although it has its own set of risks.
Well, we could, are we gonna do that? We're gonna ask more questions? We could ask if they were all killed by the same thing.
If it's part of some conspiracy.
I will leave all of you to come up with questions while I go and give my cat her medication.
Is this for commune or contact other things?
Larmandus is proposing Contact Other Planes because we don't need to pay for it.
Okay.
How's that one work
which
again?
is, it basically works the same. We get 5 questions, and there's the chance that I will go insane. Actually, what's Raiken's bonus?
Well, for the save, it's +3.
+3. I cannot go insane.
Oh, so there's no risk anymore.
There is no risk now.
You are
Because I have a
too
+11.
intelligent to go insane.
Unless Raiken somehow accidentally steps 31 feet away from him.
Yeah, it would be possible for you to screw over Lara Mendes if, like 9.5 minutes or 9 minutes and 58 seconds into the spell, you just take one step too far away from him.
And there's a very small chance that he'll go insane.
My if I roll a 1, I get a 12, and it's a DC 15. But yeah, we get 5 questions with it. The questions are one-word answers, such as yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, or unclear. If a one-word answer would be misleading, the GM might instead offer a short phrase as an answer. The other thing to know with this spell, it is not generally contacting it's not contacting a divine entity in the same way that Commune does. You sort of broadcast it a little bit more, and some sufficiently intelligent entity from another plane will answer. They generally have good knowledge.
Okay.
But that's one of the reasons why I tend to not use this spell for extremely important matters, and I would prefer to use Commune for many of the things that we end up discussing with it. That and the potential insanity, which after level up last time is no longer an issue.
Not capable of failing anymore.
As long as I'm near Raiken.
Quick, Raiken, go for a jog.
See what I would roll. Gonna roll a d20. That's a 15 on die. I would have made it. But I will leave all of you to come up with any questions about this situation, conspiracy that you want to come up with while I get my cat her medication.
So what, do we have to do 5 questions, or is it just whatever we...
You have up to 5.
Up to
So I mean,
5.
you can choose a lower number if you desire.
Okay.
That one is 1.
4 to go.
So how are we gonna narrow down what's possibly going on with this? Any ideas?
Well, I think we should ask if they were killed by the same group or entity, because I think that's a good question.
Is this a conspiracy?
I like that question. That's a thinky question right there.
Is this a conspiracy?
Yeah, we could ask if they were killed in a conspiracy. There was a conspiracy. We could ask.
Do we ask if someone is...
Well, if it's no, if they, because the people would include both the drow and Trey. So if the first question is yes, then yes, they were killed by the same entity. If it's no, then we could differentiate between the drow and Trey.
Oh yeah, I'll edit that now just to.
I forgot how specific it would be for the question. Did
It has to be a
Meant to
yes
say?
no question. It has to be a yes no answer.
Okay, that's right.
Wait. That second question doesn't make sense to me after the first.
Which one?
Question. So if no, was Trey killed by the same group or entity who killed the drow? Because that doesn't make sense to me after the first question, where the people who probably left Volnar of their own volition killed by the same group or entity.
Well, that includes all of them. If say Trey had killed the drow and then he was killed in recompense by somebody else.
So my question is, so if the answer to the first one is no, then how can Trey be killed by the same group of entity who killed the drow if The first question is already no, they weren't killed by the same group or entity.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we can
But,
read that. Yeah, we've. We're.
I guess if no, then were the drow killed by were the two drow
Right.
killed by this thing?
It is same.
Well, this is Volnar we're talking about, right? No. Yeah.
Yeah, they were in. They're Volinar.
We could ask in the sense, is the well, because we don't know if they left or if they killed. There's a high possibility they got killed, right?
We're
We
kind of
did-
assuming that they were
Like-
killed, given what the Lehrman just said that leaving. But we can ask if the drow are still alive.
So we could ask a question in the sense is there groups of or are there individuals? Is there a group of people removing people from Volinar because of their dissatisfaction with the current state of Volinar? Because I'm curious if it's a group of people that are unhappy with the current situation with what has now become what it is.
I think that could be gotten under the. Is it a conspiracy? I think that would count as a conspiracy. Or we can word that into the same question as the conspiracy. You know.
Were they killed as part of a conspiracy?
We could ask if they were specifically targeted. But I guess that could be up to interpretation, I guess. With the idea being, was it premeditated or were these people just taken randomly?
Hmm.
The whole situation kind of reminds me of the Beholder, and we didn't actually kill that Beholder.
Oh my god, you had to bring that fucking thing up. This one I thought I forgot about it. Thank you very much.
I always expect our past to come back. It has many times.
And freaking Fort Bruinor with that too. That was crappy.
The great thing about having such a storied past as you guys. There's always something else I can bring back.
Gosh.
Preston, just no. Just freaking no.
I guess
And
the
now-
one thing that I'm not sure of with all of these questions, essentially, is that we're automatically assuming the drow are dead, even though we don't technically know that.
But we could use a question to clarify if they're dead.
I mean, yes, we
Oh,
can
that's
do
right.
that. I'm just saying that if we have to clarify that, otherwise all these might be useless.
So, question 1 would be: are the two drow dead? And then question 2 is: were they and Drake killed by the same group?
Yes.
And then we have: if yes, do they plan more killings? If no, were both drow killed by the same group? They were missing from the palace, are they?
They were two guards who worked closely with Claire. But it wasn't specified. We don't know where they went missing, other than only that they
But they're not from the palace.
disappeared.
Okay, are the missing?
They worked in the palace, I mean,
dead.
but we don't know that they were like disappeared in the palace. But there was also no reason for Trey to be in the palace. So
How many have you got?
So we got. Okay, so we have.
5 potentials.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Based on the
well,
answers might change.
let's try to put them in order. So we've got
Okay.
where the missing drow guards killed. Then after that, if that's a yes,
Was it because of a conspiracy?
We're gonna have more than 5 questions. It's gonna be it's gonna be determined by what the answers end up being.
Do you have an effective order for them?
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, working on that now.
So, if the first question is a yes, then we could go along the lines of either asking about conspiracy or asking about if they're killed by the same group or entity. If that's a yes, then we could go with if the group or entity is planning any more killings. If it's a no, we could go with Trey. Was Trey involved with the killings of the Drow?
Or if the drow turn out to not be dead, then I suppose we could ask if they were involved in Trey's killing.
Alright, hold on a second. I'm gonna... Hold now. Did you want to put one in between any of them? Move some up or down, or what?
Drow guards. Killings.
While you guys are like debating and talking about what questions and the order of the questions, Vendor, you will notice that Lynn becomes very antsy. Finally, she just says, "This one is going to go now. Safer out there." And she's just going to step over, just like kiss your cheek, and then go out the door very quickly and disappear.
In between, like, mumbling questions, Jebel will say, "Bye then," and then go back to...
You just sort of like, as she's passing toward the door, you just hear, just like a little grunt, like acknowledging. Seems nervous.
I will follow her out.
Oh.
Alright. No, it's when I follow her out, then what I was gonna say is no longer necessary. I'm gonna wait until Vanda returns.
I'm not quite sure of the 3A and 3B.
You follow her out the door, and you see her going to dive between two people passing by on the street. And you know this move. You know she's about to disappear. You stop her
I'll
from...
let her go.
Huh?
Suppose I'll let her go.
Okay. She seems in a hurry. You're not going to call out to her or anything?
I'll say, hey, wait a moment.
And, like, just as she's about to, like, slide between these people and her classic move, the people seeming only now aware of her as you draw attention to her, she turns back to you, and you see that her cat-like pupils, change shape, like, grow wider as she's assessing a threat, and looks to you, stepping away from these people, back towards you a bit, and says, "What is it?"
What's got you so spooked?
This one told you. The method of these disappearances. That is why she told you about them, Vendor.
Is there something happening right now that makes you feel like it's going to happen again soon? You seem particularly aware.
When it was just this one investigating, she could control the environment, and that no one else really knew what she knew. There was safety in that secrecy. With you all prying into this, especially talking to these magical entities that she cannot see or know, does not like her chances of staying undiscovered. dear. Vendor. This one knows you all will figure out whatever is going on. And perhaps nothing. Maybe. She does not believe that, but maybe. But for now, until you are away, and not poking this bear with your stick, she's going to keep a distance. Understand, right?
Yes. I'll give her a kiss. Stay safe. And I'll send you as soon as I can.
She does seem grateful for the contact and prolongs it. Clearly troubled, but wanting that comfort. Before she steps back, releasing you. She never expected to remain as long as she has. This one never had many plans for things, and still perhaps many things are not given, but she has hopes that she never had before. This one thinks those hopes are the source of the worry. When you don't have hopes, you cannot be disappointed. You cannot lose things you care about when you do not care about them.
Yeah, I understand that. But it's better to have something to care about.
If you figure out what is going on, let this one know. She will do what she can within reason. She's going to protect herself first, though.
Of course, that's what I want the most. Your safety. I'll keep you informed.
He, smiles, sighing at you. This one truly never expected anyone in this world to care if she lived or died. Least of all, some scruffy human. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not supposed to say you're welcome. She's gonna push on you playfully. Just smile and nod. She likes you anyway. Take care, Vendor. This one will be around. And she's going to draw her hood up to cover her head, and she's going to duck away from you back toward the busy street. And as before, you see her mark a couple of people moving along the street, and she beelines toward them. And then as she passes between them, she's simply gone. Just like in Tuca.
I'll go back inside.
You do so. The party's still poring over this page. Sorry to interrupt you there, Raiken.
It's alright.
What have you got? Got an order? Order to the questions?
We have an order to the questions.
Alright. Is Laramenda's back?
Yes.
And
What did I miss?
they have been writing up questions and determining the order to ask them in. You should talk to them.
Okay.
Oh, also, Lynn took off.
Reasonable.
Ducky Ducky?
Okay. Alright, so we have the questions. We have a lot of them. We could. The thing is, we're going to start with clarifying whether the drow are in fact dead, and then we go to if they are dead, then were they killed by the same group or entity?
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I suppose if they aren't dead, then we can ask if they were involved in Trey's death. If they are in fact dead, which is what we're expecting, then we ask if they were killed by the same group or entity. And if that's true, then we'll ask if the group or entity is planning, if there are more killings planned, and we ask if Trey and the Drow were killed by the same group. We already asked that. 3B doesn't make sense.
It's asking if both drow were killed by the same
Right,
person.
right. No, yes, right. Because if the answer to Trey and Drow were not killed by the same people, then we ask if just the Drow were killed by the same people. Then we ask if Trey was involved in the killing of the Drow guards, and we ask if the Drow guards were specifically targeted. Like, was it premeditated?
Okay. So we're with these questions, we're basically just hoping to properly tie all of the things together so that we're confident that it's not coincidence.
Yeah, to
yeah.
determine whether we have the time to do anything now or we have to put it off till later.
3A, I think. I'll go put in an edit message. Dash. The word has come up, so that's an alternate for 3A. Were these killings part of conspiracy? Is that better than this group or entity plan more killings?
Yeah, let's ask if it was conspiracy. So we can probably assume that there are more killings planned, given the consistency and the
Yeah, if it's part of a
they were
conspiracy.
killed by the same group. So,
Okay.
and if it was a part of a conspiracy, that would determine whether it was a single entity or a group of people.
Anyone have anything else?
I think we're good to start asking.
I think that's reasonable, yeah.
Okay. You're all still in the Temple of Ione.
Oh, this spell only has a verbal component.
Remind me, Sam, what form the answers take. Like, you just all hear the voice, or is it only in your head?
That is not specified. So it says, on a successful save, you can ask the entity up to 5 questions. You must ask your questions before the spell ends. The GM answers each question with one word, such as yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, or unclear, if the entity doesn't know the answer to the question. If a one-word answer would be misleading, the GM might instead offer a short phrase as an answer. I think in the past we have had the answers spoken aloud.
Okay.
I think... Have we only cast the spell once?
I
Or has it been
believe
twice?
so. I think it's just once.
Because I know we cast it in Sudaran.
Alright.
The voice came out of the pipe. Because it was really high-pitched. Because it was tiny.
That's right, you used your pipe. What are you going to
But
do?
there isn't there isn't a material component. It's just
No, I
verbal.
know. But directing things is fun, if that's what you want to do flavor-wise.
In that case, he would probably just use the pipe again, since it worked last time, and it was amusing, out of character.
Okay. Alright, then. I was interested to know if you would just cast it without directing it anywhere, and just see what happens then. But alright, you direct it at the pipe. You speak the words of the spell, and the pipe begins to vibrate in your hand, and then lifts up into the air before you, floating there, of its own accord. And just sort of drifts a bit over the table that I imagine you're all sat about as you've been writing and discussing this. And a small voice emanates from the end of the pipe, just loud enough for all of you to hear, but you feel like at any larger distance it would be quite difficult to understand anything, which is convenient if you are people who don't want others to overhear you. The pipe says in its attenuated little, like somebody talking, down from one end of a tube buried in the ground to you at the other end. You just sort of like echoes out. And just hear. It is not often that I get to involve myself in the events of this world. Ask your questions, and I will answer them. For I am not a pipe.
I didn't even think about that. Out of character, I'm just going down your list of things that you posted in chat. Yeah, Trouble.
I think so. I don't.
Cool.
No one else has.
Yeah, that's what we're asking.
Okay, were the missing drow guards killed?
Normally, I would ask for more specificity. But this one, the intention is obvious. My answer to you, mortal, is yes.
Were Trey and the drow guards killed by the same group or entity?
Well worded. Your second answer is yes.
And out of character, A was for yes and B was for no, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna ask, were
Okay.
they part of a conspiracy?
Were these
3 years,
killings
yes.
part of a conspiracy?
It is unusual to meet with such intellectuals across the planar boundary. I tell you this. No.
Was Trey involved with the killing of the drow guards?
No.
And finally, were the drow guards specifically targeted?
Unclear. I do not understand what you wish to learn.
Understandable. Thank you.
These answers 5 I give you at the cost of your words. May we meet again in this place between places. Smoke well. And the pipe drops to the table with a clatter. It seems undamaged by the shortfall.
Okay. Sounds like it's a single entity would be the. I'm guessing it's probably not some regular person doing it.
Jebel, could you edit the questions with the answers that we had for them?
So missing drow guards were killed. That was yes.
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 Killed by the same group.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
3A. Then was no.
Yes, it was no.
4 was no. And 5 was. I don't know.
Unclear.
Unclear. I still think it may well be the beholder that we didn't kill.
Why would it be here?
We can't
Because it could be
kill
anywhere.
it to begin with. We can't kill it to begin with.
If we didn't manage to kill it before, we could definitely kill it now.
It's an aberration. Well, I believe I know these facts. It's an aberration. We can't kill aberrations.
We've killed aberrations.
Have we?
Yeah, Aboleth died.
We fought the illithid.
You did fight a lot of the Nine Flyers.
And
You
big
fought
brain.
a lot of intellect devourers.
Yeah,
Good old Glem.
they all seem to die.
I mean, Glem was a construct, not an aberration, but
But
Spirit's
please don't
there.
remind me of those. I already had trouble sleeping.
You did literally lose your brain.
I just no.
Dick.
Talk about something
Got it
else.
back.
I just
It's
makes me
just
uncomfortable.
this whole thing seems too beholdery. Could easily be wrong, but imagine if I'm right.
You, have the answers to your 5 questions. What shall you do now?
I'm going to turn to Vendar and say, are you interested in investigating this?
I am.
Me too.
I don't know that we have the time to do that, given the week that we were given to acquire the white scale.
That is the issue. We don't have a lot of time.
Not
We could ask more questions, but
Or we could just pass on what we learned to Claire and just leave it in her hands.
I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, they answered that they don't plan on doing any more killings. That's not part of conspiracy. So
That,
They did
and
not.
that just
that's not what that
But-
said.
I don't know.
Didn't ask that
I
I
question.
just say no.
Yeah, we asked if it was part of a conspiracy, not if they were planning more killings.
Well, then why do we have two different questions in the same thing?
You should probably edit the first one out of that.
We should have probably asked if it was some kind of otherworldly entity or something along that line.
I mean, we could do another commune. There's still more of that.
I don't think that we have, like Lerman said, I don't think we have the time to pursue this anymore.
Vendor, I'll just remind you that one of the things that Lynn said to you was that if the killings continue at the rate they're going and do not change at all, then they will probably never, on their own merits, be a problem.
It's true. And we are on a very tight timeline for the dragons, and if this continues at the same rate, then maybe one more person will be gone before we have to deal with the dragons. So I suppose it makes sense to hand the info we know to Claire and then get on our way. We have a lot we need to do.
It is a very sterile and objective way of looking at things, logistically.
It's one person we could save though.
My worry is that that person will be someone we know and care about, like Lynn or Nalia.
Regardless, it's alive.
Well, true, but also if we spend a bunch of time working on this, it means we can't implement our plan with Carasoth. That could mean a lot more life.
Yeah, far worse calamity. It's always crappy when you have to make these kind of decisions, because honestly, you don't want to turn away from an issue, but
We do also have magic capable of bringing people back from the dead, and the timelines are not sufficiently long before we could potentially investigate this that we would have extreme difficulty utilizing it.
Yeah, I suppose let's go tell Clara what we know, and then she can keep investigating. But we should get on our way because we got a big old red scale to go get.
Do we need to speak with her directly, or can we write out our information then pass
if
it
you were
along?
to pass it along to Nalia, I'm sure she could, or even somebody else. We could give it to a guard.
I feel like we could give it to one of the drow guards.
a dumbass.
Do we want to risk it? Like, would we be afraid of like the information spreading to too many people, cause a panic?
I mean, if we give it to one of the drow guards and ask them to pass it along to Zephyrius, and then to Claire, I feel like they feel like that's sufficient.
I don't know. People talk. That one guard can say it to the wrong person.
Or you write it down and you seal it.
Yeah, he shouldn't be reading it.
Ah,
And I trust the
Yeah.
guards to deliver the letter.
I guess that. Yeah, I didn't consider that.
If we want to be extremely cautious about passing information along, if we could find a ceramic that is sealed, we can break it, put the letter in, mend it, and then hand that over. So,
I'm surprised you consider such as a cute solution to keep something secret. Doesn't that go against your, God?
He's not a cleric of violence.
Ash just like looks down at you, Claire. Just like,
Technically, it's not keeping it a secret. It is sharing
It's
it
keeping
with
it
a
secure.
specific group of people.
Ash kind of like bobs and like shakes back and forth a little and says, "Well, she does have a point, Scholar. We've only rehashed this discussion twice today. I think three's charm, right?"
but I am perfectly content just handing over a folded, like a sealed letter to one of the guards here. But if we want to be more secure, there are easy ways to do so while we go off to where we need to go.
What are we gonna do to teleport to wherever we're going? Are we gonna plane shift? Are we gonna use Jebel's plant thing?
Yeah, that would be tomorrow though. Or like, no, I could do it today, but it would leave me
So probably better to do one of the other teleports then.
Yeah. Voice in the Sky, I know that I am relatively confident of like where ish it is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Hang on. You okay over there, Malachi?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. You did some math to know the distance to it, and that you know the angle. I mean, so you don't know like exact exactly where it is. You have, an area that's, several hundred feet in
Yeah.
each direction that it's probably within, but you also have the pendant, meaning that, other than for planning, you'll never really need to know its exact location. So
basically,
you know within a few hours looking, you think, hopefully, how long it would take to get there.
I think that's perfectly reasonable for if we can say within a couple hours of a teleport or of a plane shift, then I think that's fine. What was that,
Where are
Jabba?
we now? We are. Hold on, I'm
Volinar.
opening up the map just to see.
Volinar is on
That's-
the southwest coast.
Yeah, it's this little dot here. And we know that it is somewhere in the northeast. Northeast of us. Is that what?
You know that it is somewhere east and a bit north of you. According to Laramenda's calculations, he decided it was somewhere perhaps just over the border into Sylvanas.
Okay. Not too far.
That was a couple days by boat, as you recall.
Yeah, far enough that we need to teleport.
Yeah. I
if
don't
we
think
want
I've
to
ever been
get
there.
there soon.
Where is Crystal Rock? Jibbles home.
It's in Espara. And we
that's
never
right.
sat down and talked about its exact location.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
I'm not finding it
imagine
anymore.
somewhere, roughly straightish line south of Everwatch. So basically between here and Everwatch. But we can also discuss that and figure out its exact location together after the session.
So it's over near the inner sea there.
No, I forgot that I was not from Bromdor.
No, I mean
that's
that's where we think the scale is.
Um,
Just across the border.
just across the border not into Shirkawa, into Sylvanas south.
Yeah,
So-
in the Sylvanas. That's still borders the. Because I mean,
well, if it's east and only slightly
It's
north,
Sylvanas.
it's probably... Laramentis can tell you from his calculation that there's a high likelihood that it's somewhere in the bounds of the Forest of Bala.
so not that far east.
What?
That's pretty far east.
I,
Just imagine that the Forest of Bala is pretty much the entire dark area.
Very big forest.
Like, I know that there's just that one little rectangle there that says the Forest of Bala, but it's...
Oh, that's his origin of Bala.
origin, yeah. But the whole dark green area is dark green because it's like a forever wild. Like, people don't go there.
I'm just looking at the thing on the screen. I don't remember how to get to the map, so I'm just looking at the one on the screen. I can't look at the.
Oh, okay. It's if you, hopefully you have the
And I
link to
think
the.
that's the.
It's
I
the
was looking at the wrong
topographical
place of where Volinar is.
I
what
wish I
was
could
doing.
put my mouse over it, but as you can see, the mouse disappears behind the map. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'd point at it with my own mouse, but I cannot.
Volinar is
Volinar is the one
in
that's on the
line
left,
with
right?
Bromdor.
So
the one that's in
you
line with
see
the
those
text for Bromdor.
the three squares that are along the
that's
coast.
west, yeah.
It's the furthest west one near the B, and then you'll notice that around that curl of that water that borders Arcosia, there's a darker green area in the green. That whole darker green crescent moon there is the Forest of Bala.
Yeah, I was originally looking at Volinar and thinking it was or I was looking at the one that I think is the origin of Bala and thinking that was Volinar. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
so it took you about a day sailing from that square on Arcosia, because that's the seat of Bahamut, to go up around that curl and crash. No, I guess maybe that was the long one, because that's the Forest of Bala. You went around the curl and then over. The middle one is Brilmont, where you met Laramendus. And then you sailed again. Yeah, that was probably the 3 days. So the 3 days to Brilmont, and then it was a day to 2 days. I can't really remember. It was so long ago. That you sailed from Brilmont to Volinar.
Okay.
And Kubriel destroyed the boat because you left her on the boat all by herself.
Oh yeah, she gnawed on it.
Yeah, so I
I
couldn't
mean-
sell it for as much.
Wherever we leave her by herself, she messes things up.
I wonder
Good thing we don't
why.
have to do that anymore.
Goddamn water barrel.
Obsessed with that water barrel.
So, yeah. According to Lair's calculations, somewhere between here and the capital of Sylvanas over there.
Okay.
In case it isn't clear, because it probably isn't, but for the most part, the larger red dots that you can see inside the borders of each nation is the location of their capital. Their political capital. So, it's really hard to see, but the square inside of Bromdor that's all the way to the west has the red dot inside it. Because that's Volinar.
Yes, it does.
And you can kind of see up in Aspara that dot that's the second in from the left along the river. It has a red dot under it. That's Everwatch. There's a couple of red dots in Ebengard, but I believe only the one with the square around it is the capital. I think the other one's probably just something I should have erased. I think I was initially just doing, like, every town, because I was doing them live on my drawn map, and it was before I uploaded the map, and then started doing it with the squares instead. Yeah. I'm sorry. Ebengard got confusing. But everywhere else, they have one red dot, and it's the capital. The Thanandirs is all the way over to the east. On the coast is where Thanon City is. And then way down here on the inner sea is where you went to Tuka. Tuka's actually a little bit north of you right now. Okay.
Just slightly.
So, Larmendus has said you'll need to teleport to get in range of this scale and see what the situation is. So that means, I believe, that the two options you've discussed most heavily are sending to Carasoth or doing this investigation first. So, are you doing the investigation? Are you sending to Carasoth? Are you booking it?
Well, since the answer was no, that Carasoth didn't have anything to do with sending it away, we're gonna go get the scale.
Yeah.
Today is a good day to teleport.
Today is a good day to
After
teleport.
sending a message to Zephyrus or Claire or someone.
Yeah, we'll write a message down, seal it, and
Okay. You write down the message containing everything you believe you've learned about these disappearances. You seal it by the means you believe to be best. And you are going to just hand this off to the first drow guard that you see and tell them to get it to somebody else?
Yep, I suppose we'll send it to Zephyrus. And he can get it to Claire if she needs to. So yeah. Or he can do the investigation himself.
Okay. Then, yes, you parcel it up as you say. You head out, through the door the same way Lynn left, and of course, busy street outside as this heads off to the northwest toward the market. And, just looking around, you can quickly pick out drow guards on patrol. They tend to walk in pairs, and they're not too far apart.
As we walk out, I would ask Bender a question.
Go for it.
How's it like kissing Lynn? Is it like kissing a bearded man?
I suppose it's a little bit. They both got the fuzzy. She's got a rough tongue, though.
That was supposed to be a mistaken question. I've seen cats' tongues. Won't that hurt?
She knows how to use it.
Oh, I wouldn't mind if you explained.
I would.
Oh my god, yes.
I think you would mind if I explained. Given that I know you.
Your guys' human tongues is weird anyways, also.
You've all, kind of clustered up as you're heading out the door, and immediately Jebel's just like, I don't want to know these things, and heads out, getting as far away from you as he can.
Said Jebel, but
Jebel was the one who said you don't want to know the answers to these questions.
Yeah, I'm gone.
But aren't you all about all kind of animals?
Not an animal.
It's not an animal. Just animal-like.
It pops the heads back in. Well, technically she is an animal because we're all animals. But yeah,
Actually,
actually, druid lore drop. I'm out.
What did it mean by that?
you can either be a plant, an animal, or a fungus. Do.
He just keeps popping back to drop these shit on you and then leaves.
No, just have more questions than I started.
Technically, the druid is absolutely correct. Which is the best kind of correct.
A fungus? A fungi, not plants?
No. Not according to the latest research, at least. They grow too differently. They like environments that are too different, and what they feed upon for energy and the way that they use it is too different from other plants. Plus, most people that claim any amount of control over plants usually have a lot harder time with fungus, so from a magical perspective, they are also different.
Okay, so to save time, I'm just gonna say that Leah is going to shoot off a lot of questions regarding how plants and fungus feed. I know nothing about photosynthesis. I know all the answers to this, so I assume that Ash is just gonna explain it to her as they walk.
Yeah, I think that unless the scholar stops him, he'd be happy to.
Yeah, no, I don't go to stop. The only time that I'm stopping him is when I'm like, we need to cast the spell.
He mostly explains it through anecdote, saying, my scholar 2 scholars ago discovered this, that, and the other thing. There was one several hundred years ago, well before Rashaz, who realized that sunlight spells work just as well as actual sunlight on plants, and it seemed to, harm the growth of fungi. He just rambles on and on for a while.
Well, at least Jebel succeeded in getting Leah's brain off of Lynn's tongue.
Goodness gracious. And that's what we do here on Everybody Loves Raiken. You hand off the thing, and next time we'll figure out how it is you go about getting where you want to go.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. I want just anybody who needs it to take inspiration point, because everybody contributed and worked real hard today, and I appreciate that. A good session. If you don't need
really
an
feel like
inspiration point, you
guys
get the 10
contributed
XP. And then please, everybody, take 1700 XP.
Okay.
Oh, why not?
Sweet.
And this was the party collaborates on asking questions session, so next time we will be teleporting and figuring out what happens in the forest of Bala when we teleport into the middle of it.
Yeah, the best place to teleport into that fucking forest.
If we teleport where we intend to teleport.
I mean,
Last time we were only
plane
in
shift
the
gets
remote
you
area.
relatively precisely.
Teleport's the one that comes with more risk.
Relatively precise is an interesting phrase.
Yeah.
Look,
I mean, it
I don't-
did get us to the
Blink,
island.
Blink isn't entirely precise either, I think, but it's short distance. By the way, Tristan, did I get a short rest in between when I met the Black Rose and now?
oh, definitely.
Yeah, because I just noticed that my spell slots were still used.
Yep,
so
yep,
it's
because you were teleporting them around with Dimension Door. That was it. Okay, so with that, thank you all very much. That was enlightening in far more ways than I could have imagined. I look forward to when we meet next time and you teleport into a very safe place where nothing bad will ever happen.
Yeah, it'll be nice. There's like pillows
Yeah,
and like some tea.
yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Bye, stream!
Bye bye.
Bye.